Good morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this. If you can, I'm going to do a quick run through of my pokes at Cheltenham. Coming into this in good form, obviously, after the Durham National winner on Sunday. A couple of winners yesterday, 8-1 and 10-3. So we're bouncing at the moment, and hopefully something of these, or one of these five horses or more, can get the job done today. So I'm just going to run through my thinking behind these five horses, which you may or may not find interesting, but saves me writing up copious notes also. Let me jump over to the excellent Gigi's Gold. So we're starting with the 135. I have gone for Black Poppy. And I think there could be more to come from him as a handicap hurdler. What are the things I like? Well, Kerry Lee does very well with last time out winners, as you can see there. You can't back them all. Plenty go off short enough, but those are very solid stats. What else do I want to say? Kerry is in decent form. They're very selective, but they have a good set of horses, one from one, with her winter returners so far. The record in the last year is pretty damn good, and whether or not they have the firepower that they used to have when her dad Richard had the license in terms of numbers, I'm not 100% sure, but 23 from 92, 42 places, all runners in the last year, is just a bit balmy, really, and maybe they will keep that up this season, but definitely a yard to keep on side. They can train everything: hurdlers, chasers, 2 miles, stayers, you name it. Black Poppy. Well, let me just click on the Instant Expert quick. We can just have a look at handicap hurdle form. I've selected, this is class 3, obviously. I can change the class here just to see. I like to see who may have done better at a higher class, which is always useful as well. And you can see a nice line of green there for Black Poppy. The ground's fine, the class is fine. Has won at Cheltenham. That was actually on the new course. I'm hoping this slightly sharper old course may be okay, especially if some of these younger, less experienced jockeys go a bit too hard at the front, which is sometimes can be the case. Field size is fine. The trips, obviously, no problem either. Yeah, that's Black Poppy in terms of ticks those boxes. Comes here, looked progressive when the season ended. Last year, won, like I said, a new course, this class 3 in an okay race, hit the line fairly hard, doing all his best work late. That was off £10 lower, but then followed up in the Swinton hurdle, big field, race behind the pace, has gone up £5. There is a question from this mark, I suppose, but I'm just going to side with the fact that I think he could still be progressive based on those two runs. Given Kerry Lee's MO and the horse's record at the track, I would like to think she has got this one fit and tuned up. I think he was going to win at Bangor last season. Was it last season? No, had a couple of breaks. October 21, a couple of years ago, looked like he was going to win there when coming down. Won on first ever career start in the National Hunt Flat Race. So I think they can ready him. And yeah, because of that course form and everything else, I think this may well have been the plan. And I just thought a 6-1, given all those boxes ticked, looks sure to run a big race. The other factor for me, Patrick Wadge has only ridden one horse around here before, but he is, for me, along with Liam Harrison, arguably the best jockeys in this race, although Toby Wynn's been riding well. But I would, strongly contend that Patrick Wadge is a bloody good jockey. I think it's significant they've booked him. So hopefully Black Poppy can run well. I'm going to jump over to Glorious Zoff. Fergal O'Brien has won this race a couple of times before, one of those ridden by Liam Harrison, that caught the eye. Jockey stats, he rides this place very well. 5 from 22, 10 places. For Fergal, all those wins for Fergal. That was good enough for me. The yard are going well. plenty of placed horses in line with their kind of yearly average. The thing I liked about Glorious Zoff, he's hard race fit, which is will count for something. I think this mark is just about workable. What I liked, or what I've concluded, is I think, or I want to see him on a big field, strong pace, with this hill to help him, because I think he'll be staying on, and I think he's best off a strong pace where horses might come back to him. He hasn't really ran a bad race on recent starts. He can be keen and a bit buzzy and fresh, which is why they ride him patiently. And when you ride a horse patiently, you need a lot more luck, whether that's over fences or particularly over hurdles. You need them to go a lot faster in front. You generally need them to come back. He got that at Warwick, just about, leading in the final stride. He was probably going to win at Bangor, actually, but he fell. And then he hasn't run a bad race. He's always been staying on. Bit outpaced. The ground was probably a bit too soft at Market Raisin in that decent summer handicap hurdle, but that was solid form and he was doing all his best work at the end. Cartmel probably went far too soft. Utox was a small field. It turned into a bit of a dash. He was held up. He was staying on again. Market Raisin, they took the hood off. Liam Harrison didn't ride. Jack Hogan was on. Rode him miles out the back. Whether or not that was deliberately with this race in mind, whether or not they wanted to settle him even more because the hood had come off. Liverpool Knight ran that, won that, and he dictated a fairly steady pace. The front two or three were right up there from the start. He needs a stronger gallop. That race has worked out well. A couple of winners in behind him, as have various other races of his. So at 16-1, given the trainer, given the jockey, given the hard fit, he's the right age, he's got a nice racing weight. I just wanted to see what he could do in a big field cavalry charge. Plenty of inexperienced jockeys here. Hopefully some of these horses run away with them. They go hard, they provide the pace he wants. I do think he'll be running up the hill. I think if he runs his race, he will run into the places. That's the hope. He did run here for Gordon Elliott, Denise Foster, in the Triumph Hurdle a couple of seasons ago. Not the Triumph, the Fred Winter was a 4-year-old, far too keen, but he cruised into it at the bottom of the hill, then turning for home before he flattened out a bit. But that showed the course, I don't think, holds many fears, and he settles a bit better now and he's a bit more mature. So that's the reasons for those. The pace is here. Black Poppy will be in the perfect position, I think, tracking the pace. Responds very well to pressure. Hopefully Patrick Welch gets after him quick enough. I'm hoping Glorious Zoff won't be right out the back, but we shall see what the pace is. I've gone each way. I do fear the Paul Nicholls horse, very unexposed, could be more to come, but a 4-year-old, not quite sure what this air form is worth, but it was a decent performance. I'm guessing a little bit whether or not he's going to be fit as well, but Nicholls does have a good record in the race. No shock winner, but I wanted to oppose at 7-2, especially with 4 and 5 places to play with. Shetland Tony for Twisters, unexposed also, could be anything, another 4-year-old, but I'm just guessing there a bit too much, and he's inexperienced as well. Our champion form, Simra, I'm not quite sure what he was beating at Plumpton, but didn't do much wrong and more to come. But yeah, those are the two for me in this race for those reasons stated. What am I jumping over to next? 320. Now we've got... I've got 3 places to aim. Sorry, I was just looking at non-runners there. I hope this doesn't, no more come out, doesn't go down to 2. He just has chase experience in amongst a lot of horses making their chase debut at Cheltenham, which is difficult to do. It's not impossible, but all of these, I would want to watch them over fences first, especially at Cheltenham, which is such a tough jumping test. That's the case for all of the British runners in this, are making chase debut pretty much, or second run in the Twister sense. He fell last time. Railway Hurricane, I think this mark is workable. He's a bit tricky. He doesn't win very often. I think the key to him actually is the going. Yes, he's not won, but his placed efforts, his one win was on yielding. His placed efforts are on good. That includes a run round here last November, where he was second to Unanswered Prayers, came with a great run, looked like he might swoop past. That was a decent effort. I thought a repeat of that, and if he got back to that level, he could be thereabouts. He's run well this summer. He got off the mark for the first time in this beginner's chase here, possibly weak enough, but he bolted up. 20 furlongs on good ground seems to be his conditions for me. They gave him a 70-day break. Market Raisin Summer Plate was far too soft. He had a 70-day break before Garin. I'm hoping this has been the plan. That race, the winner there has gone in again. He was giving £19 to that winner in heavy, carrying 11.13. He cruised up to it. He was only just done after the last. Given that previous course form and also the form of the yard, trainer jockey in the last 14 days, 3 from 5, 3 places. The Cromwell team are going well, 5 from 22, 7 places last 14 days. I thought he looked likely to run into a place. And you never know, if some of these don't jump very well, if they scare themselves, if they lose confidence. He's got race fitness on his side as well, which will count for something. He'll bounce off the ground, which isn't necessarily the case for some of these either. I thought at 9, 10, 11 to 1, he looked a solid each way bet in this, and hopefully he cruised into it. Something may outbattle him. Something more progressive may now have more in hand going chasing, but I thought he looked likely to be thereabouts. The Nichols horse might go well first run for him, but he looked like all his best form, that he wanted soft and wanted the bog. I'm guessing whether or not he's going to be 100% fit here. His chase debut at Cheltenham, he didn't run very well when last seen on better ground at Huntington. So I'm hoping this ground might be a bit too good for him, and Paul's just using it for a kind of sighter and some experience. So that was a favourite I was happy to kind of take on again, and gives a bit of value, but the Nichols team are in fine form. So I've gone for, a bit like Neon Moon at Ludlow, who I didn't back and didn't get involved in that race, but he was a more experienced chaser who had a high level or decent level of previous chase form, and he has absolutely just walked all over a load of chase debutants whose jumping went to pot, whose confidence went to pot, and so on. So I'm hoping that might be the case in this race here. And it looks like, I think this may well have been a plan. So we will see. That's the thinking there. He'll probably be patiently ridden, hopefully not quite out the back, but he does need to run past horses. He is a bit tricky, but I will be mildly surprised if he's out the first 3 here, personally, but we will see. And you never know. Hopefully he might actually get his head in front again. He's definitely better than his mark, I think. He's just a bit of a tricky bugger. Right, on to the final couple. Strictlyadancer, handicap chases. Obviously is 2 from 2 at the course. Won this race in October 21, then followed up in a similar contest in the November meeting. He's £1 below his last winning mark. This has no doubt been the plan. The ground's fine. I just thought at 11 to 2. I know Christian Williams isn't in great form. Those stats look awful, 0 from 26, 0 places. But most of those has been on seasonal return, and Christian Williams horses generally badly need the run. So I'm going to put that down there, and I'm just going to trust Strictlyadancer. Was very eye-catching at Chepstow. Ran superbly, ran better than he has done on some previous seasonal returns. Cruised into it to about 3-4 out, and then he got left behind, but he was very tenderly handled as well. He's dropped £3 for that. He won off 122 at Haydock, so the mark looks fine. That form was solid. All the form of those runs solid. Obviously he had some issues. That was his first run in 600 odd days last time. There's a chance that he does bounce. Of course there is a chance that he's actually regressed. But he did look progressive when last seen before his injury. I'm not 100% sure what that injury was. But I thought he had every chance of, if he ran his race, he's obviously going to be bang there. No doubt about that. Christian Williams has done well at the course in the last 5 years. He knows how to train a staying chaser. The other thing's the jockey. Gina Andrews, probably one of the best riders in this race. She rides this course very well. Christian Williams has booked her about 6 weeks ago, reading some quotes, wanted to make sure that she was available and kind of in good shape to ride him. It's been a plan. We know it's a plan, and at 11 to 2, I think is likely, and we know that he loves the course, obviously, that he's likely to run his race. If he does run his race, he's going to be bang there. The other one, looking for one slightly less exposed, is Bella Bliss for the Irish, John McConnell. He does very well with his Cheltenham runners, as you can see there, generally outside of the March meetings, but he has had winners at the festival as well. He does well when he moves his horses in distance. And yes, this one is unexposed as a handicap chaser. Won with ease, jumping very well. Some questions over some of the form, I suppose, but some of the hurdle efforts okay. Was going to win at Kelso. It was only a 2-runner race, but had a 120 horse under the pump when hacking up there when they came down. Clonmel 24 ran well enough again there, but again the ground was probably a bit too soft and heavy. Then ran at Chepstow, dropped in trip. I wonder if that was with a sighter with this race in mind. Up against 140 horses. I'm not going to watch the race replay. You can, but I have. Travelled very well near the front end. Jumped superbly. Was able to go with unexpected partly for a time, and then just got outpaced and left behind and probably outclassed from about 3 out. But I thought that was a promising run. Comes here race fit. Comes here in form. We know the trainer does well around here, and I thought she and her profile will bounce off the ground. Has looked a superb jumper so far, should race prominently. The other thing is the trip. Has won over 23 furlongs. And is related to a 25 furlong hurdle winner. There's also some other chase winners in the family, and I thought the trip could bring about more improvement. Now it might not. She might not get up the hill, but that's built into the odds of 10, 11 to 1 for me, and I was happy to roll the dice. I think she's got a big run in her. Obviously the track's an unknown, but again built into the price. But she looks kind of more on the progressive side of the scale, end of the scale, which is what you always you want, or I like to look for, having some progressive horses on side, of course. I think those two were the two for me. What else do I want to say? Oh yes, the jockey, Bella Bliss. Obviously we are dealing with an amateur jockey's handicap chase. The jockey is very important, worth a few pounds here. That's why handicapping sometimes isn't necessarily the be all and end all in a race like this, although obviously you generally want the horse you think's well handicapped when playing in handicaps. But this jockey in the last year, 10 from 52, 18 places. You could just follow him actually, plus 60 to £1 bets at starting price. He has a very good record on chasers. And yeah, if I just look at him the last 5 years, I've got no problems there. And actually, some of his Irish stats are even better as well. So yeah, he knows how to ride. I've got no problems with him at all. And yeah, I'm hoping these two run an absolute cracker. Now around here, you generally don't want to be too far back, but again, in these amateur races, they can go too quick. I think Bella Bliss will be prominent. I don't think Strictlyadancer will be this far back. I'm hoping going to be bounced off in mid-division. And we'll just cruise along, hopefully with Bella Bliss, and I will dream of them both cruising to the front and battling this out as they turn for home and approach the second last, and then the last as well. So fingers crossed. Those two were the two for me. There was nothing else in this that I really wanted to dive into. Of course, it's a competitive race. You can make cases for a few. I did think the old boy Innisfree Lad, if this was over 3 mile 4, I might be more confident of him grabbing a place. He is 20 to 1. He's 11 now. He's got a decent jockey on board. He has course form. He will need them to go very hard. I thought he would probably get outpaced and a bit too far back and might not do anything at all. But if he's there about some 3 out, I could see him grabbing a 3rd, 4th or 5th. Especially if some of these start tying up, he should be running on. David Dennis does very well with his older horses. I wanted to see how well he ran here because he may well pop up in a vet's chase at some point in the season. He's looking very well handicapped again. And David does keep these older horses sweet, as we've seen with Cyclop and various others. I think younger legs should have him here over this sharper course and distance. But he's one to keep an eye on moving forward, like I said, for those vets chases. I won't go into many of the others. If something else beats me, I wasn't that close to them. For me, it was those two horses, and I had reasons to oppose the others for one reason or another. So yes, with that said, as I tick round to 19 minutes, those are the ones for me for those reasons stated. So with any luck, a couple or one or more of those 5 pokes today will run their race. But with that said, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and speak soon.